Go down the road, go down the file. Continue like normal. We jump on.
All right, that was the Northside Kings with The Bad Guy. Before that, we had Oscar was Strangled, Down by Law, Hit or Miss, Teenage Bottle Rocket, I Want to Be a Dog, Buzzcocks for Boredom, The Living End, Pictures in the Mirror, and we start that off with Against Me, I Was a Teenage Anarchist. And joining us right now on cue is the man Danny from Northside Kings, who we just played. Thanks for joining us, Danny.
Hey, how you guys doing? You hear me okay?
Yeah, there we go. We got you there, Danny. What's going on, buddy?
I signed in my Zoom, but for whatever reason, it's still showing my wife's. So.
You saw the pop-up, like...
Yeah, I was like, that does not look like Danny.
Yeah, it's like my alias over there for like prank phone calls and shit.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. Your alter ego. That's all right.
There you go. There you go.
So for guys who don't know, for everyone who doesn't know,
hold on.
Hold on.
Before we get to the hard-hitting questions,
look at that, just for you.
I saw that. Yeah, I see that.
I asked him, I said, would that be disrespectful or would it be funny? So hopefully it's funny. I don't know.
Listen, half my friends went to see them play last night here in Phoenix. So
there you go. Okay.
I don't care.
So the hard-hitting questions we'll put on pause. We got to ask.
Oh, hold on. An introduction first. Okay. Danny is from North Jersey. We are from South Jersey. Okay.
Yeah.
Although considered Central Jersey. We're Tom's River, right?
Yes.
So the big question is, go ahead.
Pork roll or Taylor ham?
Now, before you answer, if you say Taylor ham, the interview's over. I'm sorry.
It's Taylor ham. Taylor ham is what it is.
Danny. All right.
Son of a bitch.
All right.
I actually went to school with a kid. I don't know if he was bullshitting us as kids, but this kid, Jason Taylor, he said his family, his grandfather was the guy that started Taylor ham.
Oh, really?
He sold it off from what he told us. I believed it, so why would he lie? I mean, that's like what kind of a legacy is that? I'm the guy's grandfather made processed spam from Jersey.
I'm living on pork roll money. I don't got to worry for shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Money. Hey, I'm gonna make it rain with my pork roll money.
Hey, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine it wouldn't be true, but yeah, there was. We all called it Taylor ham.
I'm so disappointed.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get past it. We'll live with it. All right. So, Danny's reissue of his book, "Don't Ever Punch a Rockstar," is going to be released. Is it already out, or it's going?
It's out. It's out. Yeah.
It's out. Okay, so the re-release. The book was originally written back in
2012. I originally wrote the book. I actually put together over a couple of years, but it came out in 2012.
Okay. And you've had a couple books since. Okay.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 books.
Yep, it blows my mind, and then
Make matters worse.
And to make matters worse, yeah. So, so the proper way is to tell you that neither John or John enjoys reading. All right.
I emailed them yesterday.
The way I always say it is, and my wife gets mad at me. I'm like, hon, reading is for prisoners. Okay. I don't have that kind of time in my life to be reading. Okay. But so I'm starting to read, what you sent me, your book, and I'm just finding it is so hysterical to me, the ridiculously of the emails and the hate mail that you got. It was like you almost like attempted assassination of Ozzy. They were like, like you almost tried to kill the Dark Father, the Dark Lord of Metal. All right, so for people who don't know, Danny punched Glenn Danzig in the face because Glenn pushed him, right? And there was a dispute over set times, and you guys were supposed to be opening for Danzig, okay? And Danzig said, "Fuck that, we're going on first," and made you guys go on after, which
Ridiculous.
ridiculous and really unprofessional. You don't do that to other bands. When you're the headliner, you headline. And backstage there was an altercation, and then every magazine, MTV, everyone picked it up because there was like a 4-second clip that someone took of you punching him, and then everyone hated you for it. And
I mean, the funny thing is, like back in the day, that's amazing that clip got recorded. Now everything's like my work desk. I see outside. I see everything that happens in my neighborhood. I can record, and anywhere you go, things are recorded. So for that clip to get recorded on that day at that time,
yeah,
that's pretty phenomenal.
It was sheer luck, and it was thank goodness it did, because he tried to press charges on me. So the video saved me from that.
yeah.
But and then they wanted me to press charges on him, and I'm like, come on, I punched the guy. I'm leaving. I want out of here. I'm not going to sit around and press charges for punching a guy because he came at me. I was supposed to go fishing. We were hours away from home. I'm like, I just want to get the fuck out of here.
Who wanted you to press charges?
Believe it or not, it was FBI. So it's
Really?
so it was native territory, Tuba City. There's no real police. There's police, but they're police for Native Americans because they're all indigenous neighborhood there. So like some FBI guy showed up and like it had to come down, and like it was wacky. But yeah, I
Yeah.
You just save them out.
They got a file. They got a file on Glenn Danzig at the FBI.
Yeah, me too. I guess apparently, but yeah, it got caught on video because a buddy of ours, Dan Stone, he had been following us, recording footage of us, and he came with us on the road. We were going to work up some kind of little DVD thing. That this was at the time where when the album that we had coming out, Organized in Our Neighborhood, you could pop it in a computer and there was like video footage. And we were working on doing not quite maybe a DVD, but for the next album, all kinds of footage like that, to be able to put on there. And he, just thank goodness the timing, got me.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk more about the aftermath. Okay, so
yeah, everybody knows it happened. So
at that time, okay, because you're all jacked up, right? You're pissed off, you're angry, you're just in a rage-filled moment. When it starts to settle down, do you say to yourself, dude, I just fucking punched Glenn Danzig? Like where does your mind go after that?
Immediately after it was Denny's. So we all went to Denny's in Flagstaff. That's about
Grand Slam breakfast.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, there's no diners out here, so that was our closest diner. So it was us and another band that was traveling with us that also played the show, and that band also played the night before with them in Phoenix, which that whole crew was being dicks to them in Phoenix. So they already experienced a night before of poor behavior, from the headlining band. And then so that was that. But I went home. It was a little shocking, whatever. Got home. I went fishing. It was 4th of July. I saw our email box. By the time I got home, already had emails, sent over to me. The first one was like, "You stabbed Danzig." I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I quickly wrote up something and put it up on our website. I think I may have even given it to Blabbermouth because Blabbermouth already had something about Danzig having an altercation with a band backstage. It's spotty still. It's been so many years, but I came back from fishing from the day, and that was it. It was everywhere, and we didn't even say anything with that video or do anything with that video for like a week, because that wasn't our intention. We had the video. That was ours to laugh about, But when somebody says you stabbed them, and everybody's believing that you stabbed them, and they don't want to say that I didn't stab them, they're like, all right, well, here's the proof, So
it's like that. It's at the beginning of Fast Times. Did you hear some surfer guy pull the knife on Mr. Hand? Oh no, he just called him a dick. Yeah, what was your question, John?
So, like, I mean, nowadays, you know, you record footage and the news outlets want to buy it and stuff like that. Were publications looking to buy that clip to be exclusive too long ago?
And we didn't even put. There was no YouTube then.
Right.
We didn't put it up on our website either. We didn't put it on our record label's website. There was the greatest punk rock and hardcore community website we used to have here in Phoenix. It was called AZ Punk. And AZ Punk would have posts that people would put, up. It was a giant message board, but it was really conducive and easy to follow. And bands could put up their flyers, what was coming to town. You wanted to know what was coming to Phoenix? That was the place. And everybody was the community, all talked, and everybody, that was on it. Most people knew each other, and bands that were coming through from touring were signing up so they could be involved with the community when they got here, and they knew people, and people knew who they were as well. Awesome. What a great thing to have we had here. And they were buddies of ours, and I was like, "You guys want this footage? I'll give it to you. You put it up on your website, and that was it. I mean, they got like 500,000 hits like that day or something crazy. It shut down their website. Anybody that reposted it, like E-Bombs World put it up, it shut them down for a while. I mean, nobody, that term broke the internet.
Yeah,
I'm the OG that broke the internet because everybody's websites were crashing. Nobody had that kind of bandwidth, set up to carry it. And even though it wasn't on our website, everybody went to us. Boom, our server was like, get the fuck out of here. We're shutting you down for a while. And Thorpe's website got shut down. I mean, it just was a domino effect. It was insane.
that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you think about how early that was in just the internet infancy stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty insane,
It was pretty wild, and none of that was really I just wanted to clear my name,
right.
from stabbing. I guess.
So, moving forward, then now you're getting all this hate mail, right? You're getting all this email, and everyone just wants to freaking see you just fall off the face of the earth. What does that do for the band?
Well, it was speaking of Jersey, I got a little Jersey tattoo right there.
That's very good.
It was a little crazy. I mean, things were we felt a little uncomfortable at first. We played with H2O Madball not long after, and it was the worst string for us because the first show was in Anaheim, so we had to drive from Phoenix to Anaheim, play the show. Then the next show was Phoenix, so from Anaheim back to Phoenix, 5.5 hours, 6 hour drive. The next night was LA, so back to LA because they flew from Japan to like LA, played Anaheim, Phoenix, back to LA and home. We had to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But the club Chain Reaction, I remember giving us a call, or I don't know if it was Royce that booked it. One of those guys that booked it. They called me up and were like, "Hey, the club is getting threats that Danzig's crew were coming down and his karate school or some shit." And we were like, "What? Karate school's coming? This Kumite?" So things. And when you see some.
A lot of people don't know that Glenn is a green belt. Wow. So
I mean, to piggyback off that, so I guess the old adage of any news is good news, like bad news is good news. I guess that didn't really, like, did bands kind of blacklist you? Like, oh, we don't want to get, pigeonholed in with that, with Northside Kings because the karate school might come.
You think Madball's worried about a karate school showing up?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe H2O, but not Madball, believe me.
Madball, Warzone, all those guys.
Yeah, well, and really that's your background, because you were in Cause for Alarm back in the day. Okay, So we may have chewed some of the same fat. I don't know if you remember a band from South Jersey back in those days, Hogan's Heroes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I was the roadie for them. So wherever they went, I went because I was usually driving.
I probably bumped into you at
Yes.
somewhere along the line at shows, you know.
We did a couple of long weeks with Murphy's Law and shit like that, and yeah, so we kind of definitely probably chewed some of the same fat somewhere. So, but and that whole scene, that whole New York hardcore scene was pretty tense, man. I mean, there's some great bands though, dude. You got a lot of good stuff,
I'm a little younger than you guys, but I remember the first Agnostic Front album that I got was the Live at CBG because I had it on cassette,
Okay.
And I remember loving it, and then I remember people saying, "You can't go to that show. You got long hair. You're going to get beat up."
Yeah.
And I mean, they were playing somewhere in New York, and I wanted to go, and we kind of were scared. Oddly enough, you know those guys. I know those guys very well. They're the absolute nicest guys in the world. And when I tell them that story, they're like, "We hated that because we didn't want people to think you come to our show and this is going to happen." Mind you, got bad apples like Harley Flanagan that's just a bully and bullies people all over the place, and you got to worry about going to a show and a mental case like him starting to fight with you. But and people that he's friends with that are mental too starting to fight. That's not what it's about. But we had that kind of fear to see some of those bands,
Which is funny because back when AF started, Vinny had long hair for like half of that run.
Roger got that big flowing curly hair.
Yeah, I mean Roger. I mean not Vinny, Roger. Yeah, Roger had fucking long hair for like. I mean, when I first met him, he had fucking long hair, and I was like,
he's like the fucking desperado with that hairdo over there. It's all fucking flowing, and see the shows and plays the show. His hair's like,
it was all over the place. It was all matted and sweaty. It was all over the place. But he brought it. But
well, that was before the crossovers happened. I actually just saw a documentary not too long ago about that, like metalheads and skinheads and punks, like nobody. But then the crossovers started happening, and everyone was like, "Hey, we're on the same team here," type thing.
So you're getting all this hate mail. Everyone just some of it is funny as shit, man. So I'm reading it and I was like, oh my God. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know how I would react to all you gotta take it in stride, right? Because you even in your book, and I don't want to give away too much because I want people to go and buy it. But you do talk about at some point you had to just edit it because it was just so
racist and stuff.
Yeah, it was just
So when I put the first edition of the book out, I did it myself. I self-published it, which is an absolutely amazing program. It was a great deal. And what happened with me was I had sent it to some literary agents, and they all kind of came back with the same thing. This book, you can't put people's names from the hate mail in the book. And I'm like, or like somebody would email me, I'd put their email address.
Right.
Or somebody sent me something directly on back then it was MySpace or whatever. I put their name. And I'm like, why? They sent it to me on a public forum. I mean, I should be able, if you're gonna blast me on, say, your YouTube and say, oh, that fat Danny, blah blah blah, fat Danny, fat, whatever, over and over the same thing. Oh, he never did anything in his life, I should be able to say it back to you in my own way, So, but when I put a lot of stuff in it originally that when I went back later on, I'm like, I don't even feel comfortable, even though I'm making a point and I was trying to blast that person for saying that. I don't feel comfortable reprinting that. Yeah. So, I mean, from playing in a band, the one thing that I learned years ago, our second album, A Family Affair with Northside Kings, I always wanted to re-record that album. I was never happy with the sound. We were recording in the studio that was great. The studio closed while we were recording, and we had to move to a different studio, and the guy didn't know how to use the board, and just the whole thing fell apart. And I always wanted to go back and redo it. So when I kind of went through Don't Ever Punch a Rockstar again. I read it and I was like, man, I would love to change this, change that. I was angrier when I wrote it. At the time, I was more mad about it. Now I laugh about it. So why don't I change the overall tone a little bit? So I added a little bit more humor from my own brand of humor to it, and I was able to kind of redo it in a sense that was cutting back some of the crazy fucking shit some people said in there that I shouldn't have reposted it. I shouldn't have reprinted at the time. So
I actually pulled some of the quotes out that were hysterical. The one of the first ones was the I could have token everyone from your band. Like,
yeah.
what are you talking about? I was wondering, like, as all this hate mail is coming in, did you and I don't know, did you read it with the band, or did you just like, did you have a ritual, like everybody light up a cigar, get some brandy, be like, all right, listen to this shit, you know?
Well, that's how the book came about. So I've always been into writing since I was a kid. I started assembling all these horrible messages. I'm just on Word documents. And we'd get together with friends and I go, all right, let me read you this one. And we would fucking laugh and laugh. And I'm like, this is great. And one of my friends said, you should put this all in a book. And I was already kind of writing a story of what it's like to play in a small band, not as extreme as Get in the Van, because nobody had that extreme of a story like Rollins has. But a heartwarming story of like, listen, if I knew as a kid that the trajectory of playing in a band would lead me into, all this crazy shit from sleeping on couches and eating fucking potato chip sandwiches and everything. I may have thought about music a little differently. So let me put that together. And then with all that hate mail, I was like, I like this. There was Rodney Dangerfield's book he wrote before he died. I don't know. It's probably called No Respect. I can't remember the title, but I'm guessing that's it. What I loved about his book is on every page on the bottom, he's got like Rodney one-liners, literally on every page. And I was like, man, this is the funniest fucking book. And that's what kind of gave me the idea. Why don't I write this story? And then on the bottom of every page, I'll put a hate mail comment. But it just became like paragraphs, and I was like, it didn't go. It didn't end up on the bottom of every page. It ended up throughout the whole fucking book.
I like how the cadence of the book, like you said, you'll go on, I was a kid and this, and fuck you, asshole, and stuff like that. Like it breaks up the monotony, but it's like you said, they're like zingers thrown in there. Like what was the other one? Like Bananarama, but not the cool stuff. Like, what the hell does Bananarama have to do with hardcore music?
Yeah.
Like,
I kind of saw that and I was like,
you guys like Bananarama, but without the cool stuff or something like that. Yeah.
What?
You could have picked the bands that would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
We went with Bananarama.
Yeah, you could have picked.
My favorite one in that book is an email I got one day from a guy that said, y'all a bunch of fat fucks. If I could get out of this wheelchair, I'd strangle your fat necks. And I was like, if you're going to send a threat to a stranger that doesn't know what you look like, that doesn't know your name, that can't tell what the fuck JBL646 at AOL.com is, why would you tell me you're in a wheelchair?
So now
pertinent information.
So now you have anxiety every time you see somebody in a wheelchair. It might be that guy.
By any chance, are you?
I'm looking over my hip. I'm looking over my hip.
There you go. Now watch your back. Eyes in the back of your head. There was some there's some real. I was reading it yesterday, and I'm just sitting there cracking up at some of the shit. I mean, how can you not laugh at some of it? Some of it is so ridiculous. But it just fucking Bananarama. Now you got me going on it because it's so fucking ridiculous. That might be one of the most ridiculous ones I read too.
The other one was the only hardcore thing about you is your hardcore food intake.
Yeah, there was one that said I heard Danny deep throated a whole burrito or something once.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one too. You know,
Oh,
and I was able to like put some of this stuff together with the story in
right.
like I had a house fire. So I got emails about my house fire. That's what you get for fucking with the Dark Lord and this and that. Like anything that like yeah, anything that like happened to me, you know, in a Northside Kings video, I wore a shirt that said Mexican, not Latino, because
Right.
I was at the fair here in Phoenix, and they had this whole booth of all these shirts and stuff saying like, "Don't call us Latin, we're Mexican." And I
Yeah.
was like, "I'm buying one of these shirts. This is fucking great." And I wore the shirt in the video, and it turned into me getting all these messages about how I'm Mexican. Go back to Mexico, you know, like just people just they don't. They're so uninformed, and this is with everything today. I'm not going to tell you the climate of politics today. People are so uninformed. Some jerk off posts something that's not true, then everybody fucking reposts it, and they put their own twist to it. It's the game of telephone,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's what this book is. It's the game of telephone, you know, just spread out over a number of years with different topics that came through my life that I was able to relate to it, you know.
Yeah. The and so then you did your next book, right? Is It Blows My Mind was the next book?
No. The next book I did, I totally did a U-turn, and I did this book here, the Mega Book of Revenge Films.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Uh, I'm a huge revenge movie fan,
Okay.
and I decided I wanted to do a book that covered revenge movies from kung fu to horror movies to vigilante films,
Right.
you know, movies that you know of, movies that
All
you
right.
don't know of.
Give us your top three in that genre.
Top three would the movie Vigilante with Robert Forster and
Okay.
Fred the Hammer Williamson is probably my all-time favorite.
Okay.
Death Wish 3. I mean, Charles
That's
Bronson.
great.
Yeah,
Really?
Charles Bronson goes back to New York. So he
Yeah.
fucks everybody up in New York. He hightails it to Tucson in part two. He fucks everybody up in Tucson. Well, actually, it ends in him. In part one goes to Tucson, but he winds up in California. But then part three comes back to New York, and New York is like a fucking battlefield. Everything's fucked up. He
I
fucking
do
shoots a guy with a bazooka out the window.
remember.
I mean,
Overkill.
I
overkill.
I haven't seen the original Death Wish in probably
Long time.
30 years. But I do remember, and I love Chuck Bronson, man. He was freaking badass. But
Yeah, yeah.
the what was the movie? There was one that I really, and I guess it would fall into the genre. It was like Mel Gibson's first movie after his
Payback.
controversy.
Payback. Was it Payback?
Not that, it was another one. He was a Boston cop, and his daughter gets killed. The hell's the name of it?
Oh, he's retired. Cop.
No,
I remember. Am I thinking the same one? Is he lived in a trailer or something?
no.
That's a different revenge movie.
Well, yeah,
That's Lethal Weapon.
yeah, no.
No, it's a whole different one.
Why is
Lethal Weapon.
okay, hold on. Why is Lethal Weapon not a Christmas movie, but Die Hard is? The first Lethal Weapon is during Christmas. Come on.
There's Christmas lights in the movie. There's Christmas songs in the movie. He goes to Christmas dinner at Danny Glover's house, who's too old for this shit, which I looked up Danny Glover, and I'm older than Danny Glover is in Lethal Weapon. So now I just tell everybody I'm too old for this shit.
There you
It
go.
bothers me. Can you help me move? Nah, I'm too old for this shit.
There
But
you go.
you're black.
Yeah.
I am black.
He's right. You're black. All right.
Yeah, and I love Lady Snowblood. I think is one of my favorites too. Tarantino really took a bunch of Lady Snowblood into Kill Bill.
Oh yeah, Edge of Darkness.
Oh yeah, Edge of Darkness. Yeah, I know.
That's a good one. Because that was like one of the first movies he did after his career went into the tubes, you know, and he couldn't get another leading man job, gig. That's good. I'll have to check that out because I do like that genre of movies. So
well, and I planned on doing multiple volumes of it. I actually started on volume 2 because there's so many movies. I don't even have like Kill Bill in this book.
Right.
And I say in the back, I said, listen, I didn't forget Kill Bill, so don't send me emails about it. This is volume one. There's going to be more. But the book was so expensive to make. I mean, it's an expensive book. The size
Right.
of this book is pretty big. I just I didn't go back to it. You know.
Right.
So are you getting hate mail for not including movies in this book?
I get messages for everything. Well, you know, lately I've been getting because I do all these videos for It Blows My Mind.
Right.
I keep getting messages and getting trolled by a couple of people that they're like, "Oh, it blows my mind. You have a head like an egg." That's that's the new one. I guess I kind of have an egg, Humpty Dumpty-ish a little bit, you know.
All right.
Another one that stuck out was, what was it? The guy bought your CD at the truck stop for 99 cents. He would have rather bought Lionel Richie
Yeah.
on the ceiling instead of puking on the ceiling or something.
Yeah. I just can't believe like anybody would actually write that. Like, I think did he
Yeah.
write that as a joke? Like, you know,
That took a lot of time too, that one, because that was a long one. Yeah.
I mean, like you were saying, like, you know, you hide behind the keyboard. Is he typing that? Be like, I got that fucker. You're like,
How many times did he rewrite that before he hit enter?
he's like dancing. He's like, I even threw a dancing on the ceiling reference and fuck him.
Watch how I get him now. Lionel
Like,
Rich.
yeah.
dude, it reminds me of oh Jesus, what was Silent Bob, Jay and Silent Bob, where they go to all the kids' houses who talk shit about the movie and they're beating the hell out of them.
Yeah.
Are you fucking Poop Father 5252? You said Silent Bob the fat fuck.
It's so funny.
Oh
Well,
my God.
you got to imagine, you know, you guys are like, you know, I wouldn't want to mess with either of you guys either. You know, somebody that doesn't like you, you know, writes some kind of stupid email to you, and then like, you know, if you were to see that person face to face, you know, they're most likely not. You crush them. Yeah, you know, but you don't know. I mean, you know, look at a guy went crazy on Damage Plan. I mean,
Well,
so.
yeah. I mean, this guy's an ex-Marine, but he doesn't like to yell at people. But he
You
likes
have to de-escalate the situation first.
Yeah. So you would never think that, you know, he's, you know, a trained freaking assassin, Green Beret, whatever, Purple Beret, what is it?
He killed someone with a pencil.
A pencil.
A pencil.
A fucking pencil.
John Wick.
But yeah, that's all right. Listen, he's a kitten. He likes Matchbox 20. So the thing is, I'm gonna bust his balls over this. He went last night to a Matchbox 20 concert with his fiance because she likes them. So
listen, I got you beat on the take your wife or girlfriend to a concert show.
Where'd you go?
Yeah. Kenny G.
Oh,
Kenny G. And you know what? I liked it. He was great. I was like, this stupid mushy show. I'm not interested in this. All of a sudden, this guy with a nose as big as the fucking horn comes out. He doesn't even breathe. He just keeps fucking playing. There's no stopping him. And he walked around the room and he didn't stop. And I was like, I can't walk around the room and breathe, let alone walk around the room, breathe, and play this fucking skinny saxophone thing. I loved it. So, you know, I'm happy you love Matchbox 20. You know, you can brace yourself with that.
Play an elbow or something? An oboe? Kenny G?
No, saxophone.
But he plays other instruments too.
I think it's a saxophone, but it's like a long. I thought it was a flute, but I looked it up. It's like a different version of a saxophone, maybe an oboe.
Alto sax.
Yeah. Because my son plays saxophone. He started alto, now he plays I don't know,
Skin flutes,
nut sack. I don't know. He's a slap nuts, I call him. So okay. So after the Kenny G concert ends, you go home. You know. So.
Listen, I saw Kenny G on Valentine's Day with my wife, and I saw another year Air Supply.
Okay.
My wife.
Which took care of business.
Oh yeah, come on, that's a definite. It's like going to a wedding. I mean, you got there's nothing. You got no choice. You got it. Even if you don't want to, you have to.
Matchbox 20 and nothing.
I was tired.
Nothing
Yeah,
tired.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
tired.
I had to get up
He was-
bright-eyed.
he was tired
for this fantastic.
He was tired from the Matchbox.
He had to
20
keep his energy for this morning, right? Is that what it is?
It was the pit at the Matchbox 20 concert that wore him out.
Hey, listen, no, you still got time for some afternoon delight, you know? You got some time still.
He's picking up chance. Come on.
There you go. Starting a lawnmower.
That's right. I wore a corn shirt, so I went little metal. I was gonna wear like Cradle of Filth or something even worse, and have these people be like, "What the fuck is this?"
But he locked eyes with a guy wearing a Dead Kennedy shirt,
Yeah.
so they had a moment.
We were like,
Yeah, soulmates.
Yeah.
One day our paths will cross.
That's right. That's right. Brotherhood of Punk.
There you go. So the book is out now. It's available Amazon through Die Wolf Publishing.
Yeah.
Our friend Steven, who did who we had on the show.
Yeah, I saw that was a good episode. I watched that.
Yeah. Again, it was like, because I practically lived at City Gardens, so like a lot of
City Gardens was my parents didn't like us going to Trenton. So I only went to City Gardens a few times. Every time I went, I think the Bouncing Souls opened the show. And and I saw Guar there once, like probably not 90, 91-ish.
Right.
The band that I got won over from, and it's like one of my favorite bands today, and it was because I saw them at City Gardens, was Into Another.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
I remember hearing them, and I was like, oh, this is like a pop rock band. Like I couldn't, it didn't hit me well. And then one of my friends dragged me to see him, and I was so blown away.
Yeah.
I mean, they crushed it at City Gardens. So that was another show I saw. Saw Fishbone and the Biohazard, I think there. But really, our place was Obsessions in Randolph.
Oh yeah, Obsessions. Yeah. Okay, remember that place. Yeah.
We played the first shows I ever played at bars or clubs was at Obsessions, and the first show I ever played with like a touring band was Mucky Pup. Was that? Yeah, it was at Obsessions. I thought we made the big time. Like, we're playing with Mucky Pup,
What was the other place I used to go to in Dover? It's a show place.
God, I remember there was a place in Dover, but I couldn't even remember. I remember the Pipeline Studio. My parents would let me go to Studio One, but they wouldn't let me go to the Trenton. Like, you sure? I'm like, this.
I remember
this place is.
Yeah, I remember Pipeline. There was a lot of shows there. I remember my first time going to CB's, and I think I was like maybe 16, 17, and that was like an experience, because you heard of it for so long, and then you get there and you realize this place is a shithole.
Oh
yeah.
It
really was a disgusting freaking place,
Yeah.
It had all the lore and mystique. We had the Stone Pony, and we got, the old Ritz, and you had all these cool clubs, Urban Plaza, but yeah, CB's was really dank. Oh.
Yeah, it was that bathroom downstairs.
The Anthrax Club up in Connecticut. Do you remember that one?
I didn't make, I moved to Arizona in 94, right after I graduated high school. So I really didn't have much of a time of driving in a car. It was, if we got around New Jersey, it was because one of my friends had a driver's license and they drove to the show, or their parents dropped us off. I remember we went to see Philly to see Black Train Jack and Mighty Bosstones. And literally, my friend's parents drove us to the show. They went out and did whatever, and then they came back and picked us up.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's crazy that I had one friend who drove, and he drove us all to City Gardens every weekend. So I think I had my dad drive me once and pick me up, and yeah.
My dad drove us to one show that we played in New York. I don't remember the name of the place, but It was my high school band and a band called they used to be called Creeper, and they changed their name to Shank 456. They were on Roadrunner.
Okay.
And then Propane headlined.
Okay.
And I was super hyped. I love Propane. I mean, basically Northside Kings was a ripoff of Propane.
Okay.
And the drummer threw a drumstick out into the crowd and it hit my father. My father was like, that motherfucker, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. I'm like, whoa, that's what they do. They throw drumsticks. I don't think the guy intended to hit you with the drumstick. I'm gonna fucking kill this guy to calm my father down because my dad's a hothead. Fuck
Yeah.
anybody. Fuck anybody up, believe me. But yeah, that was like the one. My dad only came to 2 shows, that show, and I went to Europe with Soulfly, Northside Kings, not Europe, US, did a 6-week US tour. And we
Okay.
played Phoenix on Phoenix was the second to last show. My dad actually came to the show.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so two times in my entire life.
Yeah, my dad drove me to Agnostic Front and Bad Brains at City Gardens, which was one of the hottest fucking shows ever, man. It was like 1,000 degrees in that place. I was the only time I actually I think I threw up from heat exhaustion, like right outside the door of the club. I fucking just went outside and threw up and went right back in. And I was sitting all the way at the back towards the back bar, and it was just there was so many people. It was like completely sold out, and it was just so fucking hot inside, man. It was horrible, 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 horrible. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I'm sure that's what the Misfit show was like last night. I mean,
yeah,
it was 100 and at 8:30 last night. My buddy came over and we went outside. We smoked cigars. We watched a horrible movie, The Pope's Exorcist. Don't watch it.
First off, he's a horror movie guy, so anything horror
Me
movie.
too.
So yeah.
Didn't like it. This was so predictable. It was so predictable. Russell Crowe is not a good Italian priest. He's a good gladiator. He's not a good Italian priest.
Scripts in there. They're funny.
Russell Crowe was playing an Italian priest.
Yeah, he's playing Italian priest. He's pretty hefty in the movie. I'm not knocking anybody being a big guy because I'm a big guy, but they got him driving this little fucking Vespa, a little Ferrari Vespa all around Rome, and he's like so much bigger. He's not quite the guy from Police Academy 4 House that picks up the thing, rock, 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 the house. Remember the guy that picks up the thing and the Vespa walks in? But he's still big on it. Like if you see me coming on the Vespa, you're gonna think it's fucking Devo coming up, on a bicycle.
So do you after this happens now? Do you hate the Misfits? Do you hate Glenn Danzig? Do you?
No. I mean, I don't. I was a fan of Danzig and the Misfits. That's why we were on the show in the first place. It wasn't because we were. Matter of fact, my whole band was like, "Why are we playing this show?" Like they were not too interested in playing with Danzig. It's like so to our age, to my age versus like our bass player was a few years older than me. I got into bands by the time I got into it, he was already over them. Like if like I had friends that were older than me that like loved Exodus Bonded by Blood, but by the time I got into Exodus, it was Fabulous Disaster. And they were like, oh, they were already on the downturn. And I'm like, that album's awesome. That's the album that I know. That's my favorite. Or when I got into Metallica, it was, towards, Garage Days or Master of Puppets. It wasn't, I didn't hear that early stuff. I was too young for it. So it was that was the same with Danzig. The guys in my band that were a little older, they were like, the Misfits were great, but this guy, this fucking wacky solo thing, they were not into it. I love the first 2 Danzig albums. I think they're
the first 2. The first one is, to me, almost and from a recorded aspect, that's one of the best sounding. Well, it's fucking Rick Rubin. It's one of the best sounding fucking albums I've ever heard. I listened to that album just for the sheer production level of how awesome every instrument sounds, and it's just incredible.
Everything, yeah, and it's a very unique album. Sometimes a band comes out like a Nirvana and they create a sound that nobody was doing. And I gotta give him credit on that. I mean, that first Danzig album, that is well, you mentioned Korn. There's another band that came out that had a whole different sound than anybody else had. That first Danzig album was like that.
Yeah.
So our intentions were to play the show. I mean, plus we've played up there before. We did very well up there, so it was a good opportunity for us to make money on merch and everything else.
So they go on first, right? And
Actually, there was like 20 bands. It was supposed to be 2 stages. The city, it was in a high school. It wasn't even a show. It was a high school auditorium. The guys playing which we're used to many auditoriums and Elks clubs and lodges and fucking Friday fish fry fucking shows, Chinese restaurants, we played plenty. We had a Chinese restaurant we used to play in Phoenix. They would feed us, we would play. That was the show.
Wow. Too loud.
That's like the new trendy thing now. I do on Mondays I do a metal show, and this one hardcore band, the guy worked at like a coffee shop, and the management is like, the fucking place is closed. He's like, you know what? And he brought his band in and played in the coffee shop. Another one they played in a Subway. Another one they were in a Denny's. The guy they have him like, what the fuck is up, Denny's? And they're just fucking throwing shit. So,
yeah. We played in Boulder, Colorado, Cause for Alarm. We played in a classroom at the college.
What?
A classroom.
Wow.
Okay. Whoever booked the show booked this in a classroom. We played it. We didn't fuck.
He's on a desk.
I haven't played an aquarium yet. That's my bucket list. Play an aquarium. The Jimmy Buffs. I want to play at Jimmy Buffs in Jersey. Get a nice Italian hot dogs. Play there. But yeah, we definitely weren't in that kind of intention. We had a contract that was pretty proper with this promoter because I didn't know him, that we were going to go on right before Danzig.
Okay.
And the city shut those 2 stages down. So now everything's going on one stage, and we're just watching the day fall behind. Not to mention he's talking shit to our guitar player's ex-wife, who was at the show. He was rude to her. My guitar player I was already pulling him back from fighting the guy. Like, no, we're here to play. Let's not beat this guy up. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just be professional here. We got a show to do. And it just fell behind. So we had that discussion with him, his management, where, if Danzig didn't want to move the time, 4 bands were supposed to play after. Us, another band from Phoenix that played the show in Phoenix, has been Rapid Fire, my buddy Brandon's band. They were hilarious. You would love them. John on the right. They were like all in the super metal. Like they came out looking like Dio from the Holy Diver video. And they had songs like "See You on the Battlefield, Gonna Tear You Limb from Limb." They were great. We played with them all the time. And then another band from Canada that drove all the way down from Canada to play this fucking show.
Wow.
And another band. And I spoke for all the bands, and I said, okay, we'll unfortunately, he's not being negotiable. We'll do after him. We're here. We want to play. We want to get paid. So whatever. It's in Tuba City, which is a community in northern Arizona. It's a Native American community. They're their own community up there. There's not a lot that goes on up there. So if we stayed and played after him, people would have stayed. It wouldn't have been a big deal because there's nothing else to do.
Right.
But instead of saying there's other bands coming up with the list of bands that he closed the show, get home safe, have a good night. You say, get home safe, have a good night. And then you go, show's over, flip the lights on. All of a sudden they're tearing the stage down. People are walking out the door. There's other bands. And that's when I went to talk to them. It goes so well, so.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Interesting. That's, I guess there's certain people who get a little bit too big for the britches, so to speak, and stop caring about.
Yeah, I don't know if he let his ego get ahead of him and was like, "Hey, I'm the headliner, and I'm not saying that there's other bands coming up," or maybe he just forgot. I can't imagine he would have forgot because we had a lucrative not confrontation, but it was a little heated with them because of the time
before they went.
before, because they were like, we have a contract. I'm like, motherfucker, so do I. What do you think? Because you're the bigger band and people buy more of your records and you're more famous, that you could just do whatever the fuck you want and we can't? Because paper's paper, bro. It's the same thing. We're willing to work with you. And you can say, well, I'm the fucking boss, and I'll do whatever I want to do. It doesn't work like that.
Was he making that call, or was his management, tour manager?
He was making that call that he didn't want to go on beyond 10 o'clock.
Gotcha. Okay.
He was like, I'm playing 10 o'clock. That's my scheduled time. That's what I was intended to play. I'm playing 10. Who the fuck doesn't like it doesn't have to deal with it.
Right. Okay. He wanted to be home early.
Yes.
He's in a tour bus. He had to drive home from California and from northern Arizona in the middle of nowhere. Believe me, he wasn't getting home anytime soon.
Golden Girls, I don't want to miss it. Okay, so
I do love Golden Girls, by the way. I'm huge. That's my Sunday go-to right now.
Oh, really? Okay, so we're learning a lot. Taylor Haynes, Kenny G, Golden Girls. All right.
Don't forget the Air Supply mention.
Oh yeah. You're gonna get a whole new set of hate mail after that. A whole other book. So
you're born in May as well, right?
Yeah.
I'm the 17th. He's the 18th.
12th.
All right, there you go. All Taurus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bitches.
Running of the Bulls. Come on, let's go. Stubborn son of a bitch. I'm not stubborn.
So back on the when you sent that audio book or whatever, right before you came on, I was showing him. I said, "Oh, look, it's by chapter." So he was making fun. He's like, "Well, who did he get to read? Did he get Morgan Freeman? Did he get whatever?" So we put the first chapter on, and we can tell it's you. And then you're talking about filling your diaper and a ribbon sticking out of your ass. I'm like, this is gold. I can't wait to listen to this fucking thing.
This is that book there. Wow. So this is it's kind of a follow-up to Don't Ever Punch a Rockstar, but there's not much bad. There's some cause for alarm stuff in here, because I had some really crazy experiences with cause for alarm. I always tend to fall into weird stuff. There's a story, I'm pretty sure it's in this book, where we played Poland and Keith had a sore throat and he couldn't sing. And I'm like, well, fuck, we got no money. I'll play guitar and sing. Let's just do the show. But I don't know the words. And I know some of them. So we played the show without Keith. Me on guitar and vocals, Tony Scaglione on drums, and we had Tony Bono at the time playing bass. Tony Bono, Tony Scaglione were both the original guys from Whiplash. So and there was a Tony Patero. So there was three guys that were originally in Whiplash: Bono, Scaglione, Patero, all Tonys. Two of them, and Tony also Bono played into another as well, which I made him play that bass line the whole tour. I'm like, play it again. But I sang and did the vocals and made up shit like on Time to Try. I didn't know the words. I'm like Tony Bono, hanging out with Scaglione, and kids were singing it up in my face. They don't even know. Did they know what I was even saying? But afterwards, we played we stayed at a halfway house. That's where they put us up. And there's a whole story in the book about these. I went to go take a shower, and it was late. I didn't think anybody was in there. And all of a sudden, these four dudes came in. Big fucking jail-looking tattoos, no clothes on, big fucking brajoles hanging down. Guy had a dagger tattoo on his chest. They all come walking into the showers. I'm like, oh, I fucking ran out naked and ran down the hall and locked myself in the room. But the stories in this book, there's so few music stories, but mostly this is stories about me not liking the poop in public.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I gotta check that out. So.
There's also a great story about New Jersey story for your Frank's Chicken House.
Oh yeah.
Remember that place in Manville, New Jersey? It was like an all nude. It was Frank's Chicken House was an all nude fried chicken restaurant. Yeah.
Yes. I do remember hearing about this. Yes, it was. Yeah.
That was our Porky's. and I got in there, and like there's a whole story about me like trying to dress older to get in there and what happened.
So the waitresses are nude, or when you go there to eat, you have to undress?
No. So the brief history of Frank's Chicken House was this guy wanted to open up a strip club in Manville, New Jersey, and the city wouldn't give him a liquor license. They were like, "We don't want a strip club," and he's like, "Well, go fuck yourself. I'm going to open up a fried chicken restaurant that has all nude dancing." And that's what he did. And you go there, it was 18 or older to get in. You could sit down, have a soda because you couldn't have alcohol. And strippers would come out and dance, and they had really good fried chicken. So people would go and eat fried chicken and watch naked girls dance. And like, it was, like I said, me and my friends, we all tried to get into this place over and over. There's a whole story in this book how I got into the Frank's Chicken House. And I took a Polaroid with a stripper named was Bunny Blue. I was 16 years old, so I was super hyped. I took the Polaroid picture to school and I got caught with it.
Oh my God, that's funny. Now coming to the stage, Bunny Blue.
She's
Yeah.
like chicken on her lips.
In the book, I changed a lot of names. I think I changed her name too, but it was Bonnie Blue was her name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I even called it Tank's Chicken House in the book, but it's Frank's.
Oh, really? Okay. Now I'm getting like ideas of like my entrepreneurial,
this one.
what do I open next?
Trademark.
Yep, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna open up I'll just call it Frank's too, just in tribute.
Call it fucking Frank's cheesesteaks. And open up a cheesesteak place.
There you go. Nah, fuck that. I'm calling it Pork Roll Heaven.
Yeah,
I'm calling it the Pork Roll Palace. Yeah, man. Have myself a nice Jersey breakfast, man. Come on.
Anybody comes in, they're like, "Let me get a Taylor ham." We're like, "Get up!" The soup kitchen, the soup Nazi. No soup for you.
No pork roll for you.
1 year, 1 day.
Yep. Again, the book is called "Don't Ever Punch a Rockstar." It's out available now from Wolf Publishing. Check out Danny's other books. There you go.
I love that cover.
Oh, and by the way, so Anthony DeMasi.
Yes, yeah.
So I told him because I was talking to him just the other day because he's going to be doing redoing our logo for us.
Yeah, he actually drew like the first. I think I may have moved. I changed it. Originally, he's got some art in it, but originally he drew this, but we redid a new one for it for it blows the character from It Blows My Mind. So
yeah. So,
but his other images in here.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I told him, I said, yeah, I got Danny coming on to do an interview on the show. And he said, oh, I got to do it. I got to check that out. So yeah, Anthony's going to be redoing our stuff. And and then we're all in the same Facebook cigar smoking Italians group.
Yeah.
Guinea smokers.
I would have been outside smoking a cigar right now because I just bring the laptop outside, but it's already 96 degrees out. I'm like, I'm going to be drenched. I'm never going to make it through this out, just sitting out there for an hour or so.
Yeah. I just got back home from Vegas on Tuesday. I was out there for the cigar convention. Yeah, it was like
I saw a lot of pictures. Thorpe that owned our own label, he was out there.
Yeah. So it was like 115. You don't leave the hotel much, so it doesn't really matter, But, I come here yesterday. It was like, what was here yesterday? Like 80 something, 88,
7, yeah.
But it was like, it's so freaking humid. You could hardly stand outside yesterday. It was ridiculous.
And everybody that I know that lives back there says that heat, with the humidity, and I grew up with it. I remember I was very sticky and sweaty all the time. But my wife is there right now. She went back Friday. She's coming back today.
Oh, okay.
To see her family because my wife's from New Jersey as well, and we grew up together actually. Me and her brother.
Really?
So,
wow, that's cool, man.
So she's out in Flemington area at the moment, but she says it's still hotter here. She's like, I don't give a shit what anybody says. It's still way hotter in Arizona.
Listen, I know humidity's humidity, but I'm sorry, but 115 is still 115. I don't care what you say.
118 yesterday. I saw a video. A guy put some cookies on a cookie sheet and put them in his dashboard on some tin foil and shut his car. and 2 hours later he had baked cookies.
Get the fuck out.
So that whole
And
thing.
and you know your car is going to smell good after that.
I was gonna say, now all of a sudden I want a cookie, that's pretty cool. So listen, Dan, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. We had a great time, man. I hope you did too. And
Thank you.
when we send me your address, I'm going to send you some cigars, buddy.
Oh, great. I will. We'll do for sure.
Absolutely. I'll send you a little care package for you. And, if anything else comes up, you write another book, let us know. Always keep in touch,
Yeah, I'm working on volume 2 right now. If it blows my mind.
Okay, cool. Well, when you get it done, let us know. Come back on. Okay.
Cool. We'll do.
All right. Danny Mariano, thank you, brother.
We're gonna play.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate letting me come on here.
We're gonna play Auto Scum to play you
There
guys
you
out.
go. All right.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, fucking watch the road, motherfuckers.
All right, Danny. Be good, man. Thank you.
Take care. Be good. Thank you.